welcome everybody to the Brazilian BA guest show. And here we have every week somebody that's an authority in business analysis field to talk about subjects that are on the interest of the business analysis community. And today I'm honored to have here someone who is a great authority on business rule, and this person is Gladys Lam. Hello, Gladys.
Hi, Fabricio. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's totally my pleasure, Gladys. Thank you so much for joining us and for helping us to answer this question. That's a very common question. I hear that a lot. I believe you are tired about explaining that, but it's so important for our community. What is the difference between business requirements and business rules?
Okay, Fabricio, this must be the number one question I get asked everywhere I go. So I'm going to explain it very quickly in a little story, and then we can have a conversation about it. Okay, so the story, I've given this for many years. This is when my daughter was 16, approaching driving age. She's 20 something now. Oh my gosh. Anyhow, so when she was approaching 16, I'm a concerned mother. I only have one daughter. So I came up with a set of rules. So I started off telling her, you must not stay out past 10:30. Well, you know how popular that is. You must not have any new driver drive you home or drive you around. She says, Mom, all my friends are new drivers. But I said, well, I must know where you are at all times, because prior to that, I drive her everywhere. But now she's going to have a car and go somewhere. And I said, oh, and she says, oh, no, that can't be, Mom. I'm grown up. And then I say, I must not go into a car and people I don't know. She says, Mom, you don't know all my friends. And then I also said, must not go anywhere with a stranger, or must not go into a car with a stranger. She says, Mom, I'm not stupid, But now you all have to agree with me. Those are my rules, because I'm a mother. I'm setting a set of rules for my daughter. These are rules, right? Fabricio, do you agree those are rules?
Yes, totally. Good rules.
Good rules for a mother. And so now let me ask you this then. My daughter thought about it for a little bit, digest these rules, not happy with it, but I'm still mom, right? So she says, okay, Mom, I can comply to your rules, but I have one requirement. Guess what her requirement is, Fabricio?
I don't know. Probably she wanted her own car or something like that.
That is her one requirement.
Oh.
She says, I want a car. All right, now think about it a little bit. Do you see the difference of rules and requirement just from that example? Right? I have a set of rules. You agree with it. Everybody listening would agree. Those are rules. And then when she comes up with, that's my requirement, a car. Well, that's not a rule. That's a requirement. Now, what's the difference between rules and requirement? Rules tells you whether you can or cannot do something.
It sets some boundaries, right?
Yeah, it sets the boundary for you. I must be home by 10:30. You cannot go in a car with strangers, right? That tells you what's right and not right. Requirements let you implement these rules and comply to these rules. Now, when you have rules, there are many different ways of implementing the rules. You can have many different requirements out of those rules. But I have to tell you, rules are rules are rules. My rules are not going to change. You're going to be home at 10:30, whether you take the bus or whether you have a car or whether I come drive you. But that's a rule that my rules don't change. Right. And so you don't change your rules because of the requirements, because I don't have a car, so I can come home at midnight. Right. No, my rules is for your safety. You come home. Right. And rules also tell you correctness. What's correct or not? You come home at 10:31. You violated the rule. You're not correct. Requirements doesn't quite tell you that. The requirement gets you a nicer implementation, a more efficient implementation, better features to enable you to comply to the rules better, right? So it gives you correctness. The last thing rules gives you, it's why. It tells you why. When my husband asked me, why do you need to get her a car? I can tell her, I can tell him so she can get home by 10:30, so she doesn't get in the car with strangers. So she, I know where she is at all times because she can drive the car there and tell me and not be in the mercy of somebody else's car and driven her to somewhere else. So that's what rule does. And when I go to organization, talk to different people, a lot of times I see it the other way around. They have requirements and then they said, well, we gather the rules to support the requirements. And sometimes when I see that happen, it may be because the focus is too much onto the system delivery, not on the business solution. So think about the business solution first. What does your business want to do? What are those rules that support your business? So if you are, if you're a insurance company, you have rules that adjudicate claims, even if you don't have the system. Even if all your system go down, somebody's going to look at a claim and say, I can apply to rules against it and say, okay, that rule is correct. Oh, that claim can go through. And same as banking and mortgage, same as if you're doing student loans. Think of those rules that even a system don't exist. You need those rules to support your system. Those to support your operation or your business. Those are what I mean by the business rules. And that's so different than the requirements, which is, okay, I have these rules now. How do I make them? How do I automate them? How do I enforce them in an efficient manner? And so forth.
That's very interesting because there's a very differentiation in the space of the business and in the space of, let's say, a project or an initiative that's delivering a solution for the business. In your case, or in your example, you set some rules for your daughter and she should obey to those rules because that's your house rules, right? And she having a car is a solution for her in a way that she can apply to those rules. Another solution would be you won't leave home anymore, right? she will apply to other rules.
Yeah, that's right.
And probably it's happening right now because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, that's right.
She don't need a car anymore. But what I see in a lot of organizations is that they're starting a project where they don't know the business. And so what they are saying is almost like, Mom, I want a car. What are the rules? Yeah. So it's an inversion of the logic from understanding the business and delivering a solution for the business. They're just creating a solution and they don't see the business as in any fashion. And some people ask me when they are delivering projects, why should I separate requirements from rules? Why don't I put everything together in the same repository? Like in my user stories, I add some rules, or in my document of requirements, I just add rules. Why is it important to segregate rules from requirements?
Okay, I'll tell you, rule stays on, continuous, right? A lot of times requirements is you have a set of requirements. And when you do a project, you actually, that's your tick items, right? Your list, your requirements, you want to meet all these requirements. When it's done, it's done. You've done that requirement. I hope that you implement a project that satisfies all the requirements. Then you're done. Now, but rule stays on. Those rules, especially like COVID time shows it all the time. We're really busy because people realize now all of a sudden they have to change rules fast. They have to know how to comply to new regulation, new rules, how to do business differently because you can't do face-to-face anymore, and your process is different, right? those rules live on, even though your requirements satisfy. So you separate the two, and you know what stays and what's important. That's your we call that the rules are really the smarts of your business. That's what gives you the competitive advantage. Because it's not, yes, the requirements makes your system better, but if you know your rules, you know your knowledge, and you can change that fast, and now you have requirements to support it, then you know the difference between the two, and you don't spend time on concentrating on something that's not really impacting your business. And your rules impact your business day in and day out. And you know that because if you change a rule wrong, somebody is going to scream. Someone's going to say, hey, that's wrong. We're not able to adjudicate a claim properly now because the rules is incorrect.
Right. And I see that a lot of people that start to understand this difference and the value of having business rules well documented, sometimes they struggle to do that because they don't know how to do it. They don't have the techniques or the right concepts to make it. And I know you have a lot of good content about that. Where can people find it, and how can they learn to write business rules?
Okay. Thank you for Fabrizio. If you go onto our website, brsolutions.com, it has a lot of free download on Primer. You can download that. There is also a website called rulespeak.com, and that gives you the some guidelines on how to write rules. Now, and then if you want more formal training, go to brstraining.com, and we have recently released all our training online now. You can get the training there. So there are lots of material. Come to the conference. There's a Building Business Capability Conference, BBC, that Fabrizio speaks at every year, and I think it's 12 years now, going into 13 years, and it's a fabulous conference. You have a lot of people who work with rules, work with a lot more. The conference covers a lot more than just rules, but certainly come see us at the conference. There are books out there. Ron Ross, who's known as the father of business rules, have written several books, so you can search that on Amazon as well. But if you're reading, you can contact me at info@brsolutions.com, and I'm more than happy to answer questions on business rules. I love talking about it and love talking to Fabrizio about it, and he understands it really well because I've seen him do his famous cartoon things on rules, and then we have concept model, which is behind the scenes, but that's a story for another episode. Fabrizio.
Certainly. I'm trying to bring Ron here to talk about concept models, and it will be very nice, just as it was today. Thank you, Gladys, very much for your contribution here. It was such a lovely talk and such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabrizio. I had a lot of fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.